I'm going to show you how to measure gauge in garter stitch. Garter stitch is made by knitting every row. So you knit back and forth, or if you're working in the round, you knit one row and purl one row. My gauge will be measured on a blocked swatch. Here I have a swatch that is about 5 inches across. You want to make your swatch at least 5 or 6 inches or even more for the most accurate measurement, because we're going to be measuring over 4 inches, and I want to have a good edge around that where I am not measuring corner to corner or edge to edge. So you can see this one is about 5 inches across. I like to measure starting at the 1 inch mark and counting to the 5 inch mark. This is a nice ruler, but if I want to be really accurate, I don't know whether maybe it wasn't cut quite right or printed quite right here on the edge. And so I like to just be absolutely sure I count from the 1 to the 5, but you can always count from edge to the 4 if you want to. First, let's identify what a stitch looks like in garter stitch. If you look carefully, you'll see that there are frownies and smileys, or at least that's what I call them. There's an upper part of a stitch and a lower part of the stitch, and the upper part of the stitch kind of turns downward and the lower part of the stitch kind of turns upward. That's why I call them frownies and smileys. We're going to want to count either just the smileys or just the frownies all the way across. For now, let's talk about the stitches themselves. I'm only going to count the top part of each of these, the frownies. I'll put my swatch down on a flat surface, not on my knee or on the side of a sofa or something like that. I want it absolutely flat. And then I'll put my ruler down, just any random spot on the swatch, and start counting. Let's make sure I keep it straight. And I'll count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. This shows me that I have 19 stitches over 4 inches. When you're stating gauge, make sure you say over the distance that you're measuring, because just saying 19 stitches doesn't mean anything. Let's count it, that same horizontal measurement in a different spot on the swatch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. I got the same thing. That's great. Let me do it one more time at a different spot on the swatch, way up here near the top. This time I'll count this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Perfect. I'm getting 19 stitches over 4 inches no matter where I measure. So I can be pretty confident that that is my correct gauge given this yarn, this stitch pattern, these needles that I used, and this individual knitter, me. Remember we talked about the frownies and the smileys. What you need to understand about garter stitch is that the frownies are all one row and the smileys are one row. It takes 2 knit rows to make one garter stitch ridge. So between there and there is 2 rows. Now the nice thing is these ridges are really easy to count. I'm going to turn it this way. And again, counting from the 1 to the 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, maybe 20 and a half. I got, let's call it 20 ridges. but that's actually 40 rows because each ridge consists of 2 rows. Let's count again at another spot. This time I'm going to start at the 5. And I'll count by 2s. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36, 38, 40. That time I got right on 20 ridges each time. So I get 40 rows equals 4 inches. So to review, in this swatch, I have 19 stitches and 40 rows equals 4 inches. Here's a collection of gauge measuring tools that I have gathered over the years, and a lot of people really love these things. However, there is a problem when you measure just over 2 inches. Let me show you what happens. On this very same swatch, if I put this gauge measurement down and count in the window, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That looks like a part of a stitch. Would you call that half a stitch? Now remember, if we haven't measured already to know that we have 19 stitches equals 4 inches, we might not know. We might say, well, is that a half a stitch? Is that a quarter of a stitch? We happen to know it's a half a stitch because we've measured over 4 inches, and we know that our gauge is 19 stitches equals 4 inches, which would, if you do the math, mean that the actual gauge over 2 inches is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and a half. But if we didn't know that already, we would be guessing at what that fraction of a stitch is. And if you're off by a fraction of a stitch, that can really affect your overall piece and the overall measurement that you get. So it's much better to measure over 4 inches and use the entire ruler. Let's see what happens when we measure the row gauge in the same way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-ish. Can you see that that stitch is not really completely uncovered by the window? So we can't really tell what portion of a stitch that is there. So it's a little tricky to measure just over 2 inches. However, you can still use this tool. It's a very handy tool because it has the needle gauge on it. But look, you've got a ruler right here. So you can go ahead and use your ruler to measure rather than using the window here.